All right, this is going to be part 3 of page C, solving linear and quadratic equations. We're going to be looking at these problems here that are quadratics, and we're going to solve by extracting a square root. That's kind of a confusing name here. What we're really going to be using is using the square root operation to undo squaring, to undo raising to the second power. They're opposites, just like plus and minus, multiply, divide, square root, and squaring, raising to the second power, are opposites. So we can undo one with the other. Now we do have to be careful because they don't kind of undo as cleanly as adding and subtracting, multiplying, dividing. There's one extra thing that kind of takes place here. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly do number 10 as our first example. I'm going to solve it like kind of like a normal equation, just using square root to get rid of that squared. So in this case, I'm going to be adding 5. Do that on both sides. Again, this is kind of like a normal equation. I'm not factoring it or doing anything extra fancy here. So I'm going to put x squared equals 9. And then, well, pretty simple. To get rid of x squared, I'm going to take the square root. But the answer is not going to just be 3. Square root of 9 is 3. That's one of my answers. But remember from the previous page on these previous problems up top, when we factored them, right, we got 2 solutions. So there needs to be 2 solutions here. And actually, when we do this, there are 2 roots to 9. We usually only talk about this positive root, the principal root, but it's also true that -3 is also the square root of 9. And when we're solving, we really have to pay careful attention to that. So we get 2 solutions here. Sometimes people just write this in one way. They write that x is equal to plus or minus 3, positive or -3, same thing. But both of these solutions would work. All right, let's look at some that are a little more complicated. We're just adding a little bit more to it, and we're going to do the root part in the middle of this. I'm going to go ahead and do number 12. So I'm going to be using the square root to get rid of that little 2 there, that power of 2. But before I do that, there's some other things that are kind of on the outside. I'll have to get rid of that 5. So in this problem, I'm going to simply divide by 5. On this side, divide by 5 on this side, and see what we have left. All right, so now I'm going to use the square root to kind of cancel out or simplify out that power of 2. So square root. Got to do that on both sides, just like we did in the previous problem. And remember, when I square root a number, though, there are 2 answers here. So I'm going to have to show that somehow. So on this side, it just simply gets rid of the power of 2. I can also get rid of the parentheses because I don't really need those anymore. And on this side, instead of kind of writing this twice, once where it is 3 and once where it is -3, I'm just going to write it using that symbol that I just showed before, the plus or minus, the positive or negative symbol. And I'm just going to kind of leave that there. We'll get both of our answers here at the end. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and add 7. So I'm going to get x is equal to 7 plus or minus 3. Well, obviously we can calculate that out. We can do 7 plus 3 and we can do 7 minus 3, and that's going to give us both of our answers. So 2 answers are going to be 7 plus 3. That's going to give us x equals 10, and 7 minus 3 is going to give us our other answer, which is 4. Both of those answers, those solutions should work. They should make the equation be true. Let's go ahead and just check them. We'll go ahead and check that problem right there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and plug in 4. Why not? 4 minus 7 squared, and that should equal 45. Cool, 4 works. And I'll do the other one here. And also works, also 45, so cool. They both work, so they're both solutions. You'll notice this one, it's pretty similar. It adds just one more step. And I need to get rid of that 3 before I do everything, whereas 11 had kind of one less step. They both, kind of work more or less the same.